So, New Thought Confidence is the name of my talk. So let me give you a little background about this. Have you ever had one of those experiences where you haven't seen someone for a few years and they come up to you and they say, "You look really different." And they might use words like, "You look happy," "You look well rested." They might even use the word "younger."
Yeah.
Well, and they're trying to figure out what's new. They're like, "Oh, you must have a new hairdo," or "You colored your hair," or "You're wearing a new outfit," and you're standing there saying, "No, no, no." Well, this happened to me recently, and the person was looking for things on the outside of me. And I knew myself, it wasn't anything on the outside of me that had changed. I know that, and I noticed in myself that I was becoming more confident. I was noticing that life was becoming easier for me, that I was happier. So when I stood back and wondered, what was this awakening? What was the awakening that happened for me? When did this start? And then I remembered 8 years ago, when I walked through those doors to my very first New Thought Center. I had never even heard of New Thought. I walked through those doors. I heard a beautiful, inspirational message of oneness, and I met a lot of really nice people, and that was the day that when I came here to Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center, that was the day that things started to change for me. And all during the week, I felt the topic of the talk was oneness, and I felt that oneness, and I knew that this was going to be something that was going to be instilled in me and change me. So that morning, I had never even heard of Ernest Holmes before. Like I said, I was brand new to New Thought. And that morning, I heard about Ernest Holmes, and I heard about the Science of Mind, his book, A Philosophy, a Faith, and a Way of Life. And that part of New Thought, the oneness that I heard 8 years ago, still resonates with me. That is the part that I think about all the time. And for me, it means that there's no separation between myself and the infinite and the love of our Creator, that we are one. There's just no separation whatsoever, and it's unconditional love of God. And oneness is the belief that God is the source of all there is, and that God is all there is. Everything in the universe is made of God's substance and is a unique, individualized expression of God. And Holmes defines the word unity in the glossary of Science of Mind, getting back to that wonderful book, the oneness of God and man. The enlightened in every age has taught that back of all things is one unseen cause. Unity signifies the unit of things, a result of many drawn together into one perfect, harmonious whole, oneness. One life of which we are all a part, one intelligence in which we use, and one substance which is brought into manifold manifestation. So I just want to repeat that very last part again, because this really stuck with me. Oneness, one life of which we are all a part of. One life of which we are a part, one intelligence which we use, and one substance which is brought into manifold manifestation. In his book, Creative Mind and Success, Holmes wrote, "Man's inner life is one with the Father. There can be no separation for the self-evident reason that there's nothing but life. The separation of two things implies putting a different element between them. But as there is nothing different from God, the unity of God and man is firmly established forever." And you've heard, "My Father and I are one," and that's exactly what that means. So the focus of my talk today is oneness. The oneness of myself and the infinite, and recognizing and using this oneness. So you may be wondering why I chose oneness to talk about today. There's so many wonderful topics to talk about, but I chose oneness because I read this book. I'm a second grade teacher, and I read this book to my class by Dr. Seuss. We all know him and love him. It's called Oh, the Places You'll Go. And one things in the beginning of this book, this is what the character thinks in the beginning of the book. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that'll scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road, down hither and yon, that can scare you so much that you won't want to go on. So I thought about that, and I thought, I don't want to be one of those people that's too scared to go on. I don't want to be one of those people that are stuck in life. But fortunately for us here in New Thought philosophy, we know that we are never alone. We know that we're never alone in making decisions. We know that we are never alone in bringing forth creative ideas. And we know that we are never alone, ever. In fact, it's just the opposite. We are in complete oneness every second, every minute, and every day. And it's in this security of oneness that I know there's a unity of myself and the divine, the security of that. So in knowing that I'm one with infinite intelligence, I know that every decision that I make based on that knowing is a right decision. I know that as I stand in the truth of oneness, I claim that all answers are instantly revealed to me. I have the power of absolute right thinking surrounding me, working as me, in me, and through me. There is no greater power than this. This is the truth of every one of us here. And Brené Brown, an inspirational writer and speaker, reminds us, we don't have to do all of it alone. We were never meant to. And in The Power of Decision, Raymond Charles Barker writes, for you are intelligence making right decisions. You are directed by right ideas, ideas that are functioning in the now, this day, this hour, this minute. And let's go back to Ernest Holmes in Creative Mind and Success. He said, wherever you go, right beside you waiting to be used is the power that is in the whole universe. We are one in mind with the whole universe. We are eternally united in this mind with real power. It is our own fault if we do not use this truth after we see it. So this is where we need to do our part. There's oneness, but we need to recognize it, and we need to allow the oneness of the infinite to work through us and for us. We all have this beautiful loving power residing right inside us, but if we don't recognize it, it will just lie there waiting. God must wait your conscious cooperation before the full light of His law can be made manifest through you. And John Randolph Price wrote in his book, The Abundance Book, when I'm aware of the God Self within me as my total fulfillment, I am totally fulfilled. I am now aware of this truth. I have found the secret of life, and I relax in the knowledge that the activity of the divine abundance is eternally operating in my life. I simply have to be aware of this flow, of the radiation of the creative energy, which is continuously and easily and effortlessly pouring itself forth from my divine consciousness. I am now aware, I am in the flow. That's the end of his quote. So how does this sound to you? Does this sound like something you would like to know more about and how to use?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Well, I know that I want to actively recognize and use this powerful presence for good. And as our consciousness expands, so does our infinite possibilities of the world. But how do we use this oneness to create a life that we love? For myself, I have 3 core ways that I use the oneness to create. And good news, you have everything and nothing costs any money. It is very easy to use. So number 1, I start off remembering that this power that we're talking about here, the oneness, is the same power that created the planets. It is the same power that creates life to everything and is in and through everything you do. And isn't that just incredible to think about? This is the power we're talking about. It's not a small little power. It created galaxies. There is nothing this power cannot do for you if you learn how to use it. And in New Thought religion, we believe that we embody the qualities of the infinite, which we know is the indwelling presence of all, the oneness that I'm talking about. And Dennis Merritt Jones wrote in his book is entitled How to Speak, Science of Mind. Science of Mind is one of many metaphysical teachings identified as New Thought. Since we contend there is truth to be found in all of the world's religions, we seek to affirm all of humankind through practicing the presence of one God. Therefore, with reverence and respect for all other spiritual beliefs, New Thought is a system of belief that celebrates a universal spirituality honoring every human being as a sacred expression of the one God. And this is another reason that New Thought resonates with me, the oneness of all human beings. In this thing called you, Holmes wrote, if God created you after his own nature, and there is nothing else he could have created you after, then the thing you are after is already here within you. We know God is peace, so you already have all the peace inside of you. As God is clarity, you already have clarity right inside of you. That is the truth of who you are. This is the same with the quality of love, vitality, freedom, harmony. This is true of all the qualities. You already embody all of this. So thinking about how immense and expansive this power is a strategy that I use. Remembering that I am one with the most loving power helps me to make decisions and to plan what I would like to bring into my life and how I would like to move forward. Eric Butterworth reminds us that a person who keeps consciousness that the divine flow is ever centered within one has faith that limitless substance expresses through him or her in the form of creative ideas, ingenuity, the will to work, and the source of work opportunities. So this is the first way I use oneness, knowing the power of it and the immense power that it is, and that it's right there inside of each one of us. The second way I create with oneness is to use affirmations, mantras, short prayers. And I know for a fact that thoughts and words that are often repeated will form patterns in your mind, and they will automatically reproduce themselves. So using this information and saying affirmations works for me. So I'd like to try this technique out together, and I'm going to need your help. And we're going to use one of Holmes' short prayers from this thing called you. So if you would work this out with me, if you would repeat after me, please. My mind is open to new ideas.
My mind is open to new ideas.
The Spirit is ever active in me.
The Spirit is ever active in me.
The divine mind is inexhaustible.
The divine mind is inexhaustible.
There is no weary of monotonous action in spirit.
There is no weary of monotonous action in spirit.
It is forever new and vibrant.
It is forever new and vibrant.
Fresh with ideas.
Fresh with ideas.
I know that I am continuously receiving new impressions.
I know that I am continuously receiving new impressions.
From life.
From life.
New, better, and fuller ways to living.
New, better, and fuller ways to living.
I let the newness and freshness and originality
I let the newness,
freshness, and originality of spirit permeate my entire consciousness.
Of spirit permeate my entire consciousness.
So just breathe that in. And just know that this is one way to connect to the oneness that's inside of you. And repeating positive statements like this often can dislodge the thoughts that don't serve us well. We know we have those thoughts. We're human beings. We have those thoughts. Sometimes they creep in of lack or limitation or unworthiness. We all have them from time to time, and you can replace them, these untrue limiting beliefs, with the knowledge of oneness using affirmations. So here are some that I use. God is my source and my supply.
God is my source and my supply.
There is one life. That life is God. That life is my life now.
There is one life. That life is God. That life is my life now.
I am secure and confident as I know whose I am.
I am secure and confident as I know whose I am.
So affirming the truth of who we are using affirmations is a second way that I connect to the oneness in my life. And the third strategy I use is remember to be gentle with yourself. Remember to give yourself love while you're practicing these spiritual techniques. We are all having a human experience, and we need to be kind to ourselves. Love who you are, and remember whose you are. So just a quick reminder of the ways that I use the oneness in my life to create that life that I live is remembering the power. It's not just any power, but the power of the Most High. Repeating affirmations and mantras, and I know they'll build new patterns of thought, and being gentle with yourself, loving who you are. So the next time you get compliments from friends you haven't seen in a while, you can let them know you haven't changed anything about yourself on the outside, that you have changed from the inside. Because we all know it's an inside job anyway. We are seeking the results, they are seeing the results of your confident thinking and the security of the oneness through your knowledge of the oneness. And this is what brought me new confidence in myself. And like I said, it began that day, 8 years ago, walking through that doors and hearing about the oneness, being introduced to new thought. I now realize I'm always supported, always protected and loved by the divine presence within. I realize that I can step into who I really am without worry, without fear of that. I realize that the universe always supports each one of us on this beautiful, lush planet that it created for us to live and enjoy. The realization that I am one with all divine wisdom fills me with a feeling of confidence and peace that brings me freedom to create the life I want to live. So let's not forget about that character right at the beginning of the talk, Dr. Seuss in Oh, the Places You Will Go. Remember in the beginning of the book, he was scared, he didn't want to go on. Let's find out about him by the end of the book. So be sure when you step with care and great tact. And remember that life's a great balancing act. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. And you are the one who'll decide where to go. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Wow.